better results. Very similar again, but webinars, I would say focus more on content than on the other things in webinars. Product needs to be good itself. This is where people come, and here is your point. I would say definitely organize a lot of webinars, but also attend a lot of webinars where you can ask a question or showcase your knowledge through different conversations. If you're holding it, make sure that you are having the subject expertise, or call somebody who's having a subject expertise. One of the all-time favorite for investors coming from an incubator would be hot leads, hot updates on what's happening in the market. If you're working in, let's say, solid waste management, what is the market updates right now? Is there a policy change? Is there a new investment? Is there a new technology? Get that part of your webinars, explain that, and that will get you better retention as well as better loyalty from your existing and the new donors and entrepreneurs. Definitely, we discussed before as well, but make sure that you have done your research about whom are you targeting to even devise your own hashtags or your own trends. Use technology. Here at CIE, we use OBS a lot, but there is a lot of other technologies for you to live stream. There are paid ones as well. Definitely flood it. When you're doing webinars, flood the internet with your announcements and ongoing of the sessions. Definitely invest a little bit in your own incubators spaces to develop a good place for conducting these webinars, audio and video settings. It doesn't cost much these days. There are a lot of cheaper ways, but investing in that gives a lot of returns for the quality of webinars. Remember, the retention is very less, and as I've already said, people come out there for entertainment. So if it's not entertaining enough, at least it needs to look good and of course sound good and feel good. Get the right speakers. I would always say, do not get anybody and everybody who's available to talk. That's not good. Sometimes a lot of people have genius content, but they're very poor at delivering. Have a trial before, have an experience with that speaker beforehand, listen to their other webinars or content. If it's not a great speaker, again, you would be doing a disservice by inviting not good speakers, because your entrepreneurs and other investors and donors may not be that excited to come again. Well, there are a lot of investor connections. This is another point that I was going to cover, which leads to fundraising. And now these are objective here is to do fundraising, especially. Now these, most of the unexplored territory in India is still individual investors. You find individual investors in a lot of these common themed conferences that we discussed before, sector specific conferences. But even otherwise, if at an event you leverage, you want to connect more individual investors, you need to build value for them. So most of the two immediate values that people come or investors come for any networking event is, one, to network. Of course, the investors want to meet other investors. So is there in the event that you're organizing, are there such incentives? Second is, of course, to find investable startups. So you need to have a great quality of startups in order to come there. So that's one. Definitely, when these are different strategies, I would say never combine institutional invitations and individual invitations together and treat them same, even if they're happening together. Remember, the right from invitations to content needs to be curated for these different set of people. Um, Again, if you're doing a showcase event, and we'll talk about demo day very quickly after this, but preparing the startups are very important, but so is individual connections. A lot of times in our sector, we are loosely and all the time connecting startups to investors, but we are not preparing them. Have a mock trial, have them pitch to you before they pitch to investors. And again, define what are they actually going forward to. If the goals are defined earlier, you can have the expectations also common. A lot of times, remember, investors through introductions would like to learn traction of the startup between two meetings, and we seldom do that. So try to do that before. Documentation, of course, even before you do any such events or outreaches to investors, remember that the startups need to be able to take the money. you yourself as an incubator need to be able to take the money. A lot of the CSRs we do work with, we have these casual conversations where they are approached by incubator which doesn't have 12A certification yet, or they've approached foreign investors who like Asia Gives, and they don't have Give Asia, and they don't have FCRA yet. So these are the issues which come up that will leave a bad taste. And definitely prepare for this first meeting in such a way where you will be ready with these things. In fact, when you are hand holding a startup to meet an investor, I would say you be present in the first meeting and do that transition and then go to your next meeting by themselves. Demo days we do as a sector have love and hate relationship with the demo days. They take a lot of effort, they take a lot of time. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. We shouldn't take demo days as a solve all one-stop solution. Demo days ROI needs to be counted. Your incubator, if you're doing demo days 3 times, make sure that you're really measuring the ROI. How many number of startups are getting invested? What is the quantum of investments happening versus what kind of efforts you have spent in organizing the demo days. Do not look at demo days as only showcasing. Look at it as engaging. So how does that happen? Can investors also participate in pre-screening of demo days? Can investors also become mentors to prepare one startup each in order for them to pitch? Can that kind of rapport happen? And can there be non-monetary asks at the demo days where investors can either share leads or mentor startups or share skills that their companies have to startups? Bring a variety of startups with different stages if it is from the same sector, or if it is the same stage, then different sectors, because otherwise it gets very monotonous. Just like you prepare the investees, as we discussed, you also prepare the investors. Have the expectations set out very clearly, and definitely wrap that up in your thank you email that hopefully you will send, saying that we have achieved what we said, or we are on the way to achieve what we said. Planning the PR around the demo days itself is something very important, where you have to take quotations before, you have to write a press release before. We'll quickly talk about it a little more, but you need expertise. Remember, it's again a science to write a press release. Some of you might have studied it, but if you're not, just don't think that you can learn it from looking at others. Get someone who has experience in writing press releases and build these before demo days, and during demo days confirm or do additions, and ideally on the same day, along with some pictures, your press release should be ready to go out across platforms. We've discussed this. I'll quickly run through it. This is not the purpose today, but definitely if you are doing the pitch readiness of your startups, start from storytelling as a skill. Actually get good storytellers in your ecosystem to come and do workshops even before they pitch. One of my most important thing that I value in our incubator is preparing startups to actually pitch to a customer rather than an investor. If an investor thinks he can buy the product and service that the customer that the startup is selling, he would also invest. A lot of us do not do sales pitches. I would say prioritize that even before you start supporting in startups to make a investor pitch. Definitely, as an incubator these days, a lot of research is being everywhere. So do your own fact check. If your startup is quoting the market value from Times of India, I would say junk it. Definitely go to a proper research statistics or libraries that other institutions have access to if you don't, and get that right statistics in the startup. Remember, valuation is the bone of contention in a lot of pitching or initiating investor relationship. So sort of get that out of the way, write itself on what the startup thinks. And no matter what we can do, we know that it's subjective. So clear that range of valuation that people are quoting and that people are ready. One of the most brutal ways to improve the pitch documents is to just do peer reviews. So get the startups to review each other's documents or pitching, have that mock pitches, and you will have much better presentations. And also remember the time, presentation times are very important as well. So mock pitches are very important. So I was talking a little bit about this PR responsibility. It's very important that we know that we have somebody to exclusively look into PR. We need to engage local press, and it won't be an exaggeration if I say that you should actually plan special activities to reach out or dedicate time to reach out with the local press, at least the business magazines. And you should ask them what is their interest, what is the kind of content that their editors are happy about, and what are the kind of content that you can give out. Remember, we always see success stories, but to be honest, they are boring all the time. If you are only publishing like this startup got invested, this startup got invested, also try to say something. Try to say that what does your incubator thinks about the market or about the startup which got investment. Add that personal element, make it a little more engaging than just announcements. um, Prepare this calendar, prepare your own calendar, share the responsibility among the team or an external consultant, and schedule your content. You can do a simple Excel scheduling as well, but you can also do a lot more using the tools that we discussed before in understanding, okay, can we do once in a month, or can we do wherever there is a call for application, a sort of a PR release, or on our social media as well. Do we do one post a day in each platform, or do we do 3 posts? All of this can be scheduled using simple calendar exercises. um, 1 second. Yeah, sorry. Simple calendar exercises. Also remember, very little talked about, but I think one of the best ways to establish ourselves as attractive options to investors as well as startups is by putting out long form content, either on tools like Substack or Medium, but through blogs, basically blogs, but using these tools. They have better reach, and this blog needs to share unless you have deeper knowledge on a certain subject, you should share your insights or experiences working with the startup, and these count all as disseminations. If you are an academic, if you're based in an academic institute, try disseminating your content through publishing it in academic papers, or at least where there is serious readership is. Try to get reviewed and publish those reviews as well for your better PR. And remember, a lot of us do email listings. I haven't talked about this in the social media. It encompasses everything. Definitely don't be spammy, but use services like MailChimp, etc., to do better emails. Remember, there is a difference and etiquettes of using WhatsApp groups versus emails. For example, do not send a content which can fit in a WhatsApp message on email, and vice versa. Do not spam a lot of people. Again, this has come to our notice as well. If you are building WhatsApp groups as your strategy of continuous outreach, make sure that you take permissions of people before, and that you have their consent before you add them into your WhatsApp groups. And also, lastly but not the least, you need to focus a lot on improving your outreach by sometimes just focusing on enabling PR events, which are not your support events, pure PR events. And we can talk more detail in the question answer on how can we just do PR events, but those also help. Sometimes participating in a local event purely for marketing also helps to go a long way, which is relevant to, of course, the subject that your incubator deals. Um, One of the last slides is in terms of ecosystem models. Remember, the growth of the incubators is very cohesive to the growth of the ecosystem. If you're coming from a town which is not much into entrepreneurship yet, you have to invest in developing entrepreneurship culture in your town. And there are ways to do that. One of the first initial ways should be organizing simple talks, which could be lecture series, where basically you're explaining theory to practical things of entrepreneurship. It's almost like an extension of a B school, the kind of content that you'll be putting out. And hence you will focus on not just success stories, but also failure stories. You will have a lot of local leaders or influencers who are in entrepreneurship come and talk with you, or sometimes even professors who are not into practice but they understand the technology. For example, we are doing the Telangana Social Startups Network this coming Wednesday. We are doing where one of the professors from our institute is talking about an emerging technology from academic perspective till her association with a few startups. Our objective being that how can other people interested in social impact startup space be interested in an emerging technology as a business opportunity. So we're getting actually an academician to talk, and that's fine. You don't need only investors to be talking all the time. There are many other types of events. Definitely look at VC Circle, look at your story, social story, different kind of components to do joint events. But try to be network of networks. Even sometimes, even if it's not your event, somebody else is doing, even a startup is doing something, try to participate and help them by sharing your own networks. Uh, Networking and reaching out always runs on reciprocity and the values of sharing and collaboration. Especially here, do not take networks as something competitive resource, and hence you will not share with others. Remember, if you're sending an email, and we get all of us get this, right? An email or a message asking, "Hey Raj, can you share our announcement?" Remember, I would always want you to tell me how can you also help, right? So when you are sharing some announcements, remember to also tell the person that how will you help them. One of the common things that one can share in our ecosystem is of course the announcement channels, but also mentorship leads for entrepreneurs themselves. A lot of times entrepreneurs do not have like incubators have set of entrepreneur pools who don't qualify for their own programs. So can they share that list with you? So these are the kind of asks and give backs that you need to give. And last but not the least is now especially the COVID-19 has taught us that the world is much more smaller a place than what we thought. So try to bridge or do events with universities or incubators from abroad. If possible, let's say even reach out to a startup. For example, if a startup has been part of Y Combinator, reach out to them and see if the startup can come and work with you on for an event or talk at an event, or reach out to Y Combinator themselves if they have bandwidth to do an event together with you. So definitely reach out to global ecosystems. And with that, I was just looking at the time. Yeah, as said, you're on time. I would stop here. I know I've quoted a lot from social impact space, but also I tried to quote a lot from purely the outreach standpoint. And I'm open right now for any discussions or questions. That's all I had for you all today.
Thank you so much, Raj. So, yeah, participants can unmute and post questions to Raj. We are open for questions. If you have any questions, you can drop in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and even ask. So, Raj, we have a first question. Please mention few PR programs that you have conducted. You're on mute.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, since it's a social impact space, it's quite easy for us. We've been quite active in the Hyderabad marathons themselves. We are all like as a team have run in the official Freedom Hyderabad runs, and have mentioned and have met people there to discuss, and we have found that. In fact, we've been also very aggressive in doing grassroots village walks. In the beginning, we used to do that a lot. We would participate as well as do it ourselves, where we'd just walk across villages, talking to schools and different colleges, and we got a couple of leads from there. So this is not a scouting uh, specific events. This is just general events that we conduct or join. And during lockdown, for sure, a lot of we do, in fact, a lot of people look at it in a much more value based offering, but we do office hours which are purely pre-hour, to be honest. It's simply staff time dedicated to anybody and everybody who walks in that day or connects us online, to just talk to them whatever their startup needs are. And that has become a sort of a snowball in the sector, in the area, to get a lot of leads. So these are some varieties.
Great. Any more questions?
And I hope it was useful. If you have a comment as well. I saw the question, Arvind. Yeah. Yeah, no, we don't right now have in Atal, but in CIE, Arvind, we might have had.
Yes.
Yeah, so in Atal, because we focus on social impact and we are just 1.5 year old here, we don't have a student yet. But from the CIE point, I don't know the ratio, Arvind. Maybe you
So
can.
yes, like it would be in terms of, I would say in terms of the percentage of the students. So the number of interactions or the number of startups from Triple IT Hyderabad, it would be around 40%. Because like we run few programs called as Entrepreneur in Residence as well as pre-incubation program, and Triple IT Hyderabad also runs a course called as a Technology Product Entrepreneurship course, which is especially for students, so that like they could get some skills on like how they can set up their own companies. So from second and third year of their engineering itself, like they have this credit course wherein they need to go through, and like they would be getting some insights on how they can start their own company. But apart from that, like it would be around 40% of student startups, and like they come in from third year of engineering itself. So we have a few more questions, Raj. I guess like you're able to see. In a non-metro city or a small town, what should be the strategy for the incubators?
Yeah. I'll refer to, I don't know if you were there in the first few minutes of my talk. So if you are an entrepreneur in that town, let's just list down where all you will go, or where all you will be looking out for. If you're starting up, you will go to a bank, you will read classifieds in the local newspaper, you will go to a chartered accountant, you will go to the auditors or people who are helping them register the companies. These are the sure shot things. Or you may, if there is, now that there are a lot of incubators as well, you may go to one of the academic incubators. If not, you may actually go to a university for a research thing, right? uh, all of these are my potential catchment areas to start with, and we've had fair success in this things. Other than that, I do would say that hold a press meet, announce a competition, announce a referral competition. In smaller cities, it's actually easier. You may have well-known journalists there, carry out a story about an entrepreneur whom you would have supported, or that you are going to support through your services. Carry out one of the stories. That would be nice. And definitely, every non-metro city these days have very buzzing social media groups. So go to those groups. For example, I know one of the non-metro city, Karimnagar, has Karimnagar specific groups in Telangana on Facebook, Twitter, Facebook and other channels. So you'd go there and you'd like to advertise there. So that's about that. So can you please give us some ideas on how to generate leads? Yeah, again, it's the same answer. I would say these are how you will generate leads in the tier 2, tier 3 cities. Again, just to repeat, chartered accountants, auditors, banks, or academic institutions are your first bet. If there are other incubators, it's fine. Other than that, even just look at if you do have any friends in the real estate. There are a lot of smaller companies trying to find office spaces and all of that. That's, again, I know it's a little offbeat, but actually a great way to find and track startups in that city as well. So yeah, I will do that. Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Any more questions? In case if the participant, okay, we have some question.
Minimize entrepreneur shopping. Quite a tough one, Carl. Um, so I mean, the best way to minimize is I think doing our job. If if as an incubator, and also doing my job which the startup wanted me to do. If the startup knew, first of all, that's why we do every time you take a startup, please do milestone setting exercise. Do not jump into supporting them without knowing what they're looking for and what they need. A lot of times they do not know what an incubator can give. Everybody just thinks, okay, I'll get funds or I'll get a space or maybe I'll get ideas. No, that's not the only thing, and that may not be the relevant timing for you to get those things. So define the goals and just meet them and ask them, like, look, is this the only thing, or is there other things that you may need? It requires a little bit of coaching, but if an entrepreneur does meet all the things that he needs, he will get stop there. He or she will not go shopping. um, Average cost of startups development, again, there's no ballpark here, Carl. It's very different. I would say, again, 3:1 ratios, right, here, but again, we're not looking at the value, but usually you do plan at least 20% of our overall cost into PR and marketing. Like when you have cost per entrepreneur, do budget as much as 20%. Sometimes if you're new, it could gradually reduce and come to 5% over 2 to 3 year old incubators. Yeah.
Any more questions from the participants? You can even unmute yourself and ask in case if you have any questions. So yeah, I guess that's it from the audience. Thank you so much, Raj, for your informative session. Thank you so much for joining, and yeah, thank you so much for joining and sharing your insights. Thanks a lot.